So I'd like to start off by welcoming everybody again today. We're getting close to the end of our program. We just have a little bit more time left together, but we do have a little bit to be still learning and going through today. So we're focusing on love this week for ourselves and for others. And as always, we're going to be working our way through this teaching from the grandfathers. We'd like to start off this week with a territory acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge that the land that we are gathering on in our homes and in our schools is the traditional territory of the Indigenous people of Canada. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connection to this place where we are now living and working. As guests on this land, we want to thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We also recognize the contributions of the Métis, Inuit, Mi'kmaq, and other Indigenous people to the richness of our communities, our provinces, and this country as a whole. We aspire to continue strengthening ties with the communities that we serve and work in, as well as build a future together through learning and through reconciliation. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kathleen, who's going to introduce our lesson for the day.
Well, just to start off, like we normally start off every week, we're going to start off with a little icebreaker. So what is love? Each individual has their own unique perspective on love. For this icebreaker, you will be, well, in person, you'd be handed that little handout that you see right at the bottom right corner. And you're supposed to fill the Post-it notes with examples of what love is for you. Like, what does love represent for you? I guess I'll break the ice. For me, love is being generous. It's hugs, it's family, it's making sacrifices. You're more than welcome to put your hand up or throw them in the chat.
I love that. And just while everybody is thinking about that and putting their hands up to volunteer or typing something out for the meeting chat, I'll share my thoughts on love as well. I think that there's a lot of different kinds of love out there. I think that love is complicated. And I think that the common thing that ties all of the different types of love together is action and integrity. That's my personal belief. To love somebody, regardless of what that type of love might be, I think it's not just about what we say, it's largely about what we do. It's about caring for other people, listening to other people, and having healthy, meaningful relationships. That's my feelings. I noticed there were a couple of comments coming in the chat, and again, if anybody would like to chime in with some words, you can put up your hands, or you can keep typing into the chat like Nicole and Catherine have. If you'd like to go through those, Kathleen.
Nicole says love is respect and being there for others. We have Catherine, it's time with family and our pets. It's self-care as well. And then for Amanda's family, going out of comfort zone, friends, respect, pets, children.
I think that's a great point too. We don't just have love for our partner or love for our children. We have love for all sorts of different people in our life, and that includes our pets. Oh, look at this. Speak of the devil, here's one of mine, and I love you. And I'm hearing a lot about action there, right? Like, being respectful, taking time for these people. I love that. I love that. Natasha has her hand up there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I just have a hard time spelling, so I can never use the chat. I have a hard time using the chat. But love for me is realizing when it's time to let go, and realizing when it's not your time to, like, I don't know. Love is like having so much connection with somebody or your family, whoever you are, but also respecting their boundaries and respecting what you have to offer for them and what they have to offer for you, and harmonizing with each other in like such a powerful way that it doesn't disrupt what others have their goals, and leading people you love in the right goal, but also having the sense to, I don't know, I can't even say it, but yeah.
Well, I'm hearing consideration, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
being present and being involved and being there for people, but like you said, not disrupting their goals or their life, being considerate and thoughtful.
Yeah, harmonizing together, and don't just like, I don't know, don't think just because they love you, they have to sacrifice each other. I always like, for me, it's hard for me to understand when people say love, you should sacrifice for somebody. I feel like it's more of like, if you love somebody, it's not more of a sacrifice, it's a choice you choose, right? And it's something that it's not a sacrifice, but you want to do that for them. And you shouldn't have to sacrifice just for something that you want if you love somebody. That's what I think.
Word choice is a really big thing, right? Sacrifice implies that we're just giving and getting nothing in return. And a lot of times when we give in our relationships, we do get something in return. We get respect, and we get compassion, and we get a closer intimacy or a closer relationship with people. So I think that's an excellent point to bring up there too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Natasha. And Kathleen, I'll let you go through the rest of the comments because we have a few more that came in, including a beautiful picture from Jennifer that her children bought her.
That is really nice. I was too small for me to read it on my screens. I have so many things open, but that's really
I can read it for you if you'd like. And then
if you'd like to.
It's beautiful, but it is actually from 1 Corinthians, and I have a soft spot for this because it was actually a part of my wedding. But it's a statement that love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs, it does not delight in evil, it rejoices with truth, it always protects, love always trusts, love always hopes, love always perseveres.
That's very nice.
It's beautiful, and I'll let you go through the rest of them that are not quite so small in the print.
I mean, yeah, it's love is our thoughts and emotions with family and friends, and being truthful and respectful to each other. And then we have Chloe said love can also involve care, trust, affection, closeness, and protectiveness. And then Adriel's love is the point to life. I guess everyone does need love at the end of the day. Every single human being, or even animals.
Love
everyone
that.
for sharing. So we see most of the weeks we have this love is one of the 7 grandfather teachings, and we have a video to watch. Hopefully it works.
It looks like it might be a little bit on the small side there, Kathleen. Do you mind if I just I'm going to steal your screen share and I can put it on a nice full. Oh, actually, if you click, do you see that full screen button right beside where it says YouTube?
I don't see it.
No? That's all right. How about I bring up the video on my screen though, so it's a nice large one there, okay?
That'd probably be better. I'll give myself A for effort. I tried to embed the video and it didn't work.
That's okay. You did a great job. I can help you with some of those technical things afterwards. But for now, here's our wonderful video from, again, our elder Hazel.
The second of the sacred teachings is love. The eagle is the symbol of love. It is a powerful word. To be at peace with yourself and able to express love to your family, friends, and community through your actions and words. Love is a mix of feelings and actions that show a deep liking for someone or something. Deep feelings can be for family and friends. You have to love and like yourself. Make sure not to put everyone else's needs before your own. Love yourself. When you feel like no one cares, there is always someone that does. Love the people and the creatures of the world. We are never too busy to be kind, caring, and patient, even when it's hard. Love what you do and do what you love. Love life. Don't get lost in the difficult times. There's always something to love and feel good about. Love does not want what belongs to others, and it does not brag. It does not easily become angry or keep track of what others have done wrong. Love is full of joy when truth is spoken. It always hopes. It never gives up. The story is about a young boy and something he learned from his father. One night after a very long, rough day at work, my mom made dinner for us. She placed a plate of jam and very burnt toast in front of my dad. Not slightly burnt, but completely blackened toast. I was waiting to see if anyone noticed the burnt toast and would say anything. My dad just ate the toast and asked me, did I do my homework and how was my day? I don't remember what I told my dad that night, but I do remember hearing my mom apologize to Dad for burning the toast. I will never forget what he said. Sweetie, I love burnt toast. Later that night, I went to tell my dad good night and asked him, did he really like his toast burnt? He put his arm around my shoulder and he said, your mother put in a very long, hard day today, and she was very, very tired. And besides, burnt toast never hurt anyone. But you know what does? Harsh words. You know, life is full of imperfect things and imperfect people, and I am not the best at many things. I forget birthdays and anniversaries just like every other human. What I learned over the years is that learning to accept each other's faults and choosing to celebrate each other's differences is one of the most important keys for creating healthy, growing, and lasting relationships. Life is too short to wake up with regrets. Love the people who treat you right and have compassion for the ones who don't. We should love and accept everyone for who they are. Although they may look differently, speak a different language, doing things differently, or have physical challenges. Sometimes hugs and kisses and pats on the back, that's an expression of love. Young children sometimes are more aware of things than adults and make some very wise comments. Billy, only 4, he said, when someone loves you, the way they say your name is different. You just know your name is safe in their mouth. And then Nikita, 6, if you want to learn to love better, then you should start with a friend you hate. Carrie, age 4, love is what makes you smile when you're tired. Those words spoken by the young are amazing. Words are powerful. They can be words of praise and encouragement. I care about you. These words are not soon forgotten. Love is the strongest power on earth. The 3 most important things to have are faith, hope, and love. The greatest one of them is love. In the garden of your heart, plant only the rose of love.
Some beautiful stories. I'm always inspired, and this video may not be a stranger to you guys. You might remember that we did watch this video on love from Elder Hazel back in December, and we did talk about this just a little bit. So it's a bit of a really nice refresher to us about a couple of things. First of all, love is a very beautiful and natural thing. And I think there's a lot in Elder Hazel's words that also echoed a number of your views, and I just wanted to point that out. The verse that we read from Jennifer's artwork and a number of the different thoughts that people have put out there about respect and putting others first and being very caring towards one another. Again, they really echo a lot of what we're hearing from Elder Hazel. So I'm going to turn it back over to you there, Kathleen, and let you restart your screen share there.
One thing I really like that she said, and I feel like we all, I don't know if someone mentioned it, but to love yourself first. I think that one's really, really important, because if you don't love yourself first, it'll be hard to love other people.
I agree. I agree.
So love is represented by the eagle. In the Indigenous culture, love is a gift of the eagle, and love is the core of all teachings. The teaching of love is found in all of the teachings, all the other teachings we've previously seen. The eagle has the ability to fly the highest and closest to the Creator. It has a visionary approach, and like the eagle, if we soar above high, we can get an overview of our accomplishments. When we look at things through the eagle's eyes, we can get a better understanding of the situation, of ourselves, and of others through a broader spectrum. The eagle has the strength to carry all the teachings and flies high enough to see all of the creations. And he also teaches us to act with compassion, vision, and acceptance. And those core values guide our work, especially in the CYC practice. And a feather from the eagle is considered to be the highest honor and a sacred gift. Just a quick question for everybody. Do you believe that the eagle is a good representation of love? Or is there any other animal for you that would be a good representation of love? For myself, I find the eagles, I really like their view and their perspective on the eagle, so I'd stick with the eagle as a representation of love.
I think it's an excellent representation. From my own personal experience, I also think of dogs and love. I'm just reminded of, I've always been a dog person, and they've always been a constant companion. And I find that my dogs, anyway, with my experience, they are very loving and compassionate and sweet animals. They're also very intelligent. They can learn. But again, they are all of those things because of what I've had to do for them and with them. I've needed to provide them with love and respect and nurturance and consideration for them to be able to learn and to become those animals and to become those companions that they are today. So I know when I'm sad, my dog Gucci will come and lick the tears off my face, like he won't leave me alone. And, Denick will come over whenever he's nervous about something. He wants to be really close to me if there's somebody new around or anything like that. And again, I'm just reminded of so many elements of love when I think of my pups.
True dogs, especially, they rely on us a lot, so that's actually a really good example. I've also have an example from Armenia, doves. That's a good one because doves often are represented in weddings. So
true, and doves are also very soft. I'll tell you guys a fun story. I used to work in one home, and one of the programs that we worked on was called the Feathered Friends program. And we had doves and birds at the home, and the residents were able to take the birds out of the cages and hold them and pet them and care for them while we cleaned the cages. And again, it provided them with an element of purpose and compassion and meaning. And the doves are actually very calm and very, very settled creatures. They're very loving, and they can be very easily trained for things like that. So I thought I'd bring that up as well. They're wonderful therapy animals.
I thought about that. Never got to touch a dog just yet. We're just gonna take a little bit of a deeper view of love. Love is based on affection, respect, and kindness. Once we find our own inner balance and learn to love ourselves, we're then able to love our family and our community, nature, and other stuff. One thing about love is it must be unconditional. When people are at their weakest, that's when they need the most love. It is an attachment based on devotion, admiration, and kindness. Love has no boundaries. Obviously, while you still have to respect your own personal boundaries. To the Indigenous people, to love and accept yourself is living in peace with the Creator, which in return brings harmony with all creation. Love has to be accepted and given freely. You can't just expect to have anything back, you just give it. And all things are possible with love, and everyone has the right to experience it. Love is the hub of the medicine wheel. It gets everything flowing.
I love that. I think it's important to bring up too, you mentioned a really good point. and this is again why we're kind of taking a refocus on love this week. It comes up in all of the teachings, does it not? When we've talked about wisdom, when we've talked about respect, when we've talked about bravery, humility, any of these other teachings, have there not been consistent references to love? Love that we have to have towards ourselves and love that we have to have towards one another. Sounds like a really big part of what we need to do to create stronger and more meaningful relationships is to just learn to appreciate one another. Learn to accept one another and to give that love and to give that acceptance very freely, without expectation.
Another topic that's come up a few times is self-care. Not really, they both come in hand. I feel love and self-care both come in hand. Self-care is taking care of your mind, body, and soul. Self-care can include anything as nutrition, stress reduction, could be exercise. Self-care could be being it's healthy, being happy. It could you become resilient the more you self-care. Self-care is important to practice every single day, and there's many ways that you could self-care, and everyone's self-care is going to be a little bit different from other people. Some examples are like going to bed early, taking a walk, reading a book. Not necessarily for everybody, but just some examples I threw out there.
I think when I think of self-care, I think of doing things that I might normally mindlessly do, but mindfully. Like I like putting on my makeup every day, for example, and I can just go and rush through it and not think about it. Or I can be mindful, and that can become an element of my self-care. I can use that as a time to reflect, listen to positive music, be in touch with the fact that I'm doing something to make myself feel better about my appearance. Self-care are so many different things to different people, but I guess the biggest recommendation is to figure out where in your life can you find some of those minutes and turn them into moments for yourself. How can you transform something into something that is in your best interest, in your long-term best interest, to be a little kinder to yourself? I'm reminded, and I know this is a little out there, but I'm reminded of a RuPaul quote for anybody out there that might enjoy RuPaul. But if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody else? Right? If we can't care for ourselves, if we can't learn to love ourselves with all of our strengths and with all of our faults, how will we be able to love and show that love to other people?
Exactly. And that kind of brings us to the fourth point of don't forget to take care of yourself first. Self-care is not selfish. I just put a little image of check your battery. It's actually a good image that you could even keep close, because you could actually reference like, how am I feeling today? And then you could see if maybe like sometimes you just need to slow down, recharge your battery.
Nicole put in a great comment that, she mindfully loves herself with exercise, and she shows herself love by helping out her body and her mind daily. Like she takes that time each day. And again, self-care, it's different for everybody out there, but I think that's another great example. It's finding a little bit of time to put yourself first, to do something that makes you feel good, makes you feel accomplished, makes you feel proud, makes you feel something positive. And again, it's not to the detriment of yourself. You're not going to play video games because you don't want to do your homework. Your homework is stressful. That's not self-care. That's not helpful in the long run, is it? You're harming yourself in the long run. It might be different to take a 15-minute video game break so that you can de-stress and then go back to homework and play video games when you're done as a reward. But again, self-care is not just about doing fun things or doing things you like. It's about doing it mindfully and making sure that those things are things that line up with your values and your beliefs and your well-being.
Jennifer says self-care for her is going to the woods, and the earth recharges her battery, like the Energizer Bunny.
Green therapy is one of my favorites, being out in nature. I love it.
That's how I self-care. I've started to be a little bit more mindful in self-care because it's been a topic, well, everyone is probably going to come across in the CYC. I've been waking up every single morning and taking the dog for a walk. Doesn't matter if it's minus 20 or minus 30. I just bundle up and go, and I feel so much more energized afterwards. So
even though it might be a push to get out there, you're doing it in your best interest. You love yourself enough to push yourself through, and there's a benefit to it. Speaking to our CYCs, you know, being outdoors, a lot of you guys recently joined us on a L'Amazing Adventure. We took you on a llama, one of those fun llama walks out there with L'Amazing Adventures. Thinking back to that, again, what a great example of finding a little time to self-care. We're in class learning about this, but finding a way to make it something therapeutic. You know, and again, a great example of an activity you can be doing on your own. I loved that time. Like, I miss Pearl. Pearl was my llama buddy. I'm sorry, Kathleen, go ahead. Just a little emotional, I miss Pearl.
llama adventures. So I had some activities planned. One of the first activities is kind of like a little meditation, because for a lot of people, self-care they meditate. And I feel like part of the indigenous culture. So there's a song. It's titled "The Eagle Feather." Since the feather of an eagle is considered sacred in the indigenous culture, since it's closest to the creator. I'm not sure, Corey, if you want me to just provide the link for people to meditate on their own time, or
if I remember correctly, there's no visual to this video. It's all audio, correct?
Exactly.
So why don't we take a couple of minutes? And I know the second part of the activity is to kind of fill in a couple of ideas for how you self-care and how you love your friends. So maybe what we can do is tune into the audio and try to relax, center ourselves, meditate a little bit, and we can try to focus a little bit on those ideas of how we care for ourselves and how we care for others, how we show that love. And we can talk about that after the video is done playing through the audio.
It's just about 4 minutes, so I feel you'll give it enough time for everyone to just zone in and just relax and put a few thoughts in.
Yeah.
I'll make sure everyone hears it.
Wonderful. So I hope everybody's had a chance to just ground themselves, center, and reflect and think a little bit about what love means to you. And again, how you show love for yourself, how you show love for friends and family, and how you can self-care. Now, if anybody has any ideas they'd like to share, I'll invite you to. Oh, just started playing again. There we go. I'll invite you to please put up your hands if you'd like to chime in and share any of these ways you love yourself, ways that you love your family and friends, or ways that you can better care for yourself. You're also more than welcome to type these up and put them into the chat. I have a couple of ideas that I jotted down that I can just ramble off while you guys are thinking about it. For me, I put ways that for me, a lot of this overlaps, because I think a big part of my own self-care is my connection with family and friends, and it is my self-care and the way that I love myself. So it was hard for me to put these into 3 categories. For me, some of them fit in one, or some of them fit in multiple of these categories. So I'm just going to go through them all and just recognize that they kind of fit in all 3. But being flexible with myself as well as with other people. I try really hard to be open-minded to new ideas and to not be too rigid, to hold my values and my beliefs strong, not be easily swayed by other people, but to be willing to take in new perspectives. I try to respect differences. And when I don't understand something, or if I'm upset about something, I'm really big on thinking about the whys behind it. I think that really falls in the middle one of ways to love other people. I try not to be judgmental. I try not to be reactionary. I try to genuinely and mindfully empathize with them. I don't want to put myself in their shoes because I have my own perspective. I need to try to think about their perspective in their shoes. Real, genuine empathy, their experiences, their life, and where they're at right now, and why they're thinking this. And that can be hard, but I think doing that is really a sign of loving people. And I think that also helps us show respect and show patience and show flexibility to other people, which is a way to show love. I also wrote down, I'm very forgiving, and that's a way that I love myself and a way I love others, and that's also an aspect of my self-care. I forgive myself when I make a mistake because I'm okay with making mistakes. I know my strengths and I'm okay with my weaknesses, but I'm also okay with forgiving other people. When other people have wronged me or said something offensive, I believe in forgiveness. I believe in second chances. I believe in not keeping score. And again, that's part of self-care for myself, not holding on to that, but that's also how I care for other people, by not harboring that resentment. I find myself more concerned with acting with integrity and honesty and having patience and follow through with my actions when I'm around people that I want to show love for. I tend to be more soft with my tone and with my word choices. And I find that when I'm mindfully trying to self-care or mindfully try to, show myself a little love, I do the same thing with my own internal voice. I'm a little softer and a little kinder to myself, which made me think about communication in general. I communicate with the people that I love. We establish boundaries so that it's healthy and we are constructive and we are forgiving and there's dialogue and it allows us to be vulnerable. That was the final point that I put down, is love also means being vulnerable because it's something that you're giving before you can receive it. It's something that you have to put a lot of work into. It's a commitment, it's action. And again, that's putting yourself out there, and there's a lot of room for hurt and there's a lot of room for trouble, right? So vulnerability is a big part of love, I think. Those are my thoughts.
I have similar thoughts. My thoughts were similar. I
felt like it was a good meditation. I was like, my thoughts were flowing like I was in the zone. Like I have a whole note, like I tried to paraphrase it for you guys, but I've got a whole full notepad. Like I was really, really into that. So anyway, I think that's really great. So I'll let you share next, Kathleen.
I also jotted down, I'm not going to show you too much of my chicken scratch, but I also jotted down a few notes. some ways I guess I love myself is I try not to judge myself for my mistakes. I exercise. I try to compliment myself as well, just to give me myself a little self-love. And I try to accept my emotions as they come, because emotions are one way. If you just accept, it's accepting who I am in a nutshell. And also the ways I self-care kind of like come into the ways I love myself, because if I'm mindful, I exercise, I go to the beach, I do stuff I like, I'm also loving myself and self-caring at the same time. And some ways I show my friends and family love is I'm honest, I'm generous, I give my time, I listen, and I communicate.
Love that. I love that. Great ideas out there.
And folks, there's no right or wrong answer, so don't be shy to share.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. There's lots of ways to show love for yourself. There's lots of ways to show self-care. Again, it's just about mindfulness. You know, what is in your best interest? What's in other people's best interest? I think we all kind of share that belief that love is about, you know, the way we mentally frame it, but it's also about the actions we take, the way we treat ourselves, the way we treat other people.
But shout out to nice compliment that Nicole says, Corey, I think you just reminded us that you're amazing and a beautiful person.
Thank you. I'm blushing under all of this makeup. Thank you, Nicole. Oh, and look at that, a lovely little comment from Jennifer to you too. She's feeling like you're an amazing person and you're doing a great job. So
while we're you're gonna see me blush.
Do you know what though? This also brings up a good point. You know, something we can do to show love to people. You know, build each other up. How often do we take time to highlight, I need you to do this, can you do this, did you notice that this is wrong? We hear a lot of criticisms in the world that we're in. It's just the nature of the world. Wouldn't it be nice if we heard more little compliments, like those beautiful things? I know when I read Nicole's, like it just made me feel all butterfly, and I'm sure that you hearing Jennifer's made you feel really good. And again, loving other people involves vocalizing, saying those good things, taking those actions, and you know how much of a difference it can make to other people, right? So thank you both very much, ladies, for those lovely comments, and I'm just going to encourage you to keep sharing your love around the world.
Does anyone have any questions or thoughts?
Now, we are coming close to the end of our presentation today. We're just about to wrap it all up. So just to tie it all up in a bow for you, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what we can look forward to next week. Next week, we're going to be tying it all up, and we're going to be talking about the final grandfather teaching. So we're going to be looking into just a little bit more about what the turtle represents. I don't know if anybody out there has thought or heard much about the turtle's teachings, but we do still have a little bit to learn about truth. And that's going to take us right into our last discussion on how we can be a part of the reconciliation process. So next week, I'm really hoping to hear a lot from you guys. We're going to be leaning very heavily on you, because as much as we're going to present a little bit about the grandfather teaching, a big part of next week is going to be supporting one another with being an active part of the reconciliation process. What are you going to do once this presentation series is done? How will you keep the conversation alive? How will you continue to be a part of the growth and the development and the nurturing of these relationships and this culture in our Canadian society? So I'm really looking forward to hearing more from you next week. And I just want to encourage you guys to come in with a very open mind. Again, there's not one or two right answers we're looking for. It's not a week of quizzing and exams, but it's a week where we get to have a dialogue and we get to hear from one another and inspire one another. So thank you so much for listening this week, and thank you so much for joining us for this lovely lesson on love. And thank you to Kathleen for putting together our PowerPoint and our activity and resources today. And thank you again for putting it into the file for everybody, the PowerPoint. So if anyone would like to review it, you know that you're able. I just want to remind everybody too, just one more time before we go, that today is the Mental Health Let's Talk Day. So you can get involved through the Bell Mental Health Talk, or you can get involved just by talking with people, creating awareness, putting posts out on social media about mental health and wellness and well-being. And I think that's a great way to love yourself, to love your family and your friends, and to love others in our community also. Let's be there to support one another and help to destigmatize mental health. So thank you everybody for being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week for our final lesson together. Take care.